Hello, I am Mufida. I am going to teach you a reading comprehension 2. You can see on the slide the code of this course. It's EN 116. I have master degree in applied linguistics from University of Tripoli. So this course is intermediary course between reading comprehension 1 and critical reading. It focuses on advanced skills in reading, and the focus is on training you to read and comprehend aggressively. The emphasis is also given to develop the vocabulary skills of you as students of English language. So, the objectives of this course are to enable the students to read and comprehend aggressively, and to enhance vocabulary skills and reading skills. In this slide, you can see the title of the book. The textbook is Effective Reading 2. It's a series of books. Effective Reading 1. Now, because this course is Reading Comprehension 2, so you are going to read Effective Reading 2. And there is Effective Reading 3 and Effective Reading 4. Course requirements: midterm exam and final exam. 40 marks for midterm exam, 60 marks for final exam. Now we start our first lecture. The title of the text is Culture Shock. It's very enjoyable, it's very interesting. Culture shock is a psychological case. It's a feeling, it's a feeling of confusion, of difficulty when someone travels to a foreign country which is different from his own home. So the text talks about different people from different countries. Each one of them talks about his experience with culture shock when he travels to study in the United States. So the first paragraph, you can see that we have a subtitle, Cultural Differences. First, I am going to read the paragraph. Then we study the definitions of some vocabulary here in the paragraph. Then we return back to it again to explain it sentence by sentence. Now I am going to read the first paragraph. Cultural differences. Studying in a foreign country can be exciting. It can be difficult too, especially if the culture is very different. if the culture is very different from your own home. However, there are often surprises, even if the culture is very similar. When Megan, a British student, first arrived here in the United States, she knew that Americans add their food with a knife and a fork, but they do not use the knife and fork like we do, says Megan. In Britain, we eat with the fork in the left hand and the knife in the right hand, whereas Americans often just use a fork in the right hand. Now we go to the next slide to know the definitions of some vocabulary here. Definitions of vocabulary in paragraph 1. We need to know what does mean some vocabulary here. When we know the meaning of them, it's easy to understand the paragraph. Then after we know the meaning of the vocabulary, we return back to the paragraph 1 and I am going to explain in detail. Culture shock. I've just explained the culture shock. Now we know the exact meaning of it. It's a noun, a feeling of confusion felt by someone visiting a country or place that they do not know. That's the definition of culture shock. It's a psychological case, a feeling of confusion felt by someone visiting a country or place that they do not know. Culture, it's a noun. What does mean culture? What's the definition of culture? The way of life, especially the general customs and beliefs of a particular group of people at a particular time. In other words, culture includes artists, includes customs, beliefs, way of life, way of celebrations. So that's the definition of culture. Foreign is an adjective. Foreign, belonging or connected to a country which is not your own. We say foreign language means not native language. For example, English is a foreign language, but Arabic is my native language. So, foreign, belonging or connected to a country which is not your own. Surprise, this word with the same spelling can be a noun and can be a verb. Now, surprise as a noun means an event, a piece of news, etc. that is unexpected or that happens suddenly. Surprise, an event, a piece of news that is unexpected or that happens suddenly. Surprise as a verb. Surprise verb means to make someone surprised. Surprised. So, surprise is a noun. Surprise is a verb. An adjective, surprised, for people. Someone surprised. But for things, something, we say surprising. Surprising. Now, after we know the definitions of the main vocabulary in the paragraph 1, we return back and we understand the paragraph in detail. Now, cultural differences. Cultural is an adjective derived from the noun culture, culture noun, cultural an adjective. You can see that we drop the E from the noun culture and we add the suffix al to make it an adjective. Cultural differences. Now, studying in a foreign country can be exciting, can be enjoyable. Studying in a foreign country can be exciting. It can be difficult too. It can be difficult too, especially if the culture is very different from your own home. So here, the first sentence has two main ideas, and these two ideas can be contrast. Here, studying in a foreign country can be exciting. It can be difficult too. Why is it difficult? Because sometimes or usually the culture of the foreign language is different from the culture of the home, the culture of your own home or your own country. However is a conjunction is used to connect two contrast sentences. So what we are going to find here, two contrast sentences. However, comma, there are often surprises even if the culture is very similar, full stop. You can see that sometimes the culture of the two countries, the foreign country and the native country or your own country, sometimes the two cultures of the two countries are similar, even though, although, however, there are often surprises. So now, when Megan, a British student, first arrived here means in the United States. In the United States, she knew that Americans add their food with a knife and fork. We know that people in America, in the United States, and people in Britain eat their food with a knife and a fork. So, although the two people, American people and British people, are similar in eating, both of them eat with a fork and knife, but there are surprises for Megan. We are going to know how. A British student first arrived, when Megan, a British student, first arrived here in the United States, she knew that Americans add their food with a knife and fork, but they do not use the knife and fork like we do, says Megan. In Britain, We eat with the fork in the left hand and the knife in the right hand. Whereas, be careful that whereas is also conjunction, connects to contrast sentences. It's like however. It has the same function as however. However and whereas conjunctions connect, join, link to contrast sentence. So here Megan wants to say that in Britain they eat food with the fork in the left hand and the knife in the right hand. But, however, whereas, I can substitute it here instead of whereas, I can say however, but Americans often just use a fork in the right hand. So in paragraph 1, there is an experience of a foreign student in the United States shocked with the cultural differences between Britain and America. Now, word derivations. We can derive words from nouns like here. We can derive from nouns adjectives, as here, culture is a noun. Cultural is an adjective. So, we drop the E and we add the suffix al. Culture, cultural. Difference. We know that the suffix ence relating to nouns, but here when we change it into adjective, we drop the ence and we add ent, it becomes an adjective. So different, difference, noun, different, adjective. Difficulty is a noun. Difficult is an adjective. So, surprise is a noun. Surprising is an adjective. We say, it's surprising. For things we use ing adjective. But I can say, I was surprised. She was surprised. For people, we use ed adjectives. Similarity, noun. Similar, adjective. Similar, adjective. Be careful that similar is the opposite of different. Different and similar are opposites. Knowledge is a noun. Known is an adjective. So, ledge is a suffix used to verb know. It becomes a noun. An adjective, known. Synonyms. What does mean synonyms? When two or three words have different spelling but they have the same meaning, we say that they are synonyms. Like exciting, an adjective. It has the same meaning as enjoyable. So exciting and enjoyable are synonyms. You can see the equal sign here means that they have the same meaning. They are synonyms. Difficult is an adjective. Hard is a synonym of difficult. So they are synonyms. Difficult, hard. They have the same meaning. Especially an adverb. It has the same meaning of particularly. Different, an adjective, means various. So various and different are synonyms. They have the same meaning. Opposites. Study is a verb. The opposite of study, teach. A student studies hard. A teacher teaches him everything. For example, foreign is an adjective. The opposite of foreign, local. Exciting, adjective. The opposite of exciting, boring. Can say the film is exciting, or we can say the movie is boring. Difficult, adjective. Opposite of difficult, easy. Specially, adverb. The opposite of specially, generally. Different, the opposite of different, same or similar. The opposite of verb arrive, leave. Here is an adverb of place. The opposite of here, there. There is an adverb of place also. So here, the opposite, there. Right, an adjective. Opposite of right, left. All these words are in the first paragraph. Okay. So what you should do that you should study these words carefully and try to use them in sentence of your own. Use them, use verbs, use adjectives, and each one of the words in paragraph 1. Now, the second paragraph, it's a short one. Megan is also surprised that Americans tip a lot more than British do. We never tip a waiter just for a cup of coffee, but Americans tip 50%. The accents can be so different too. I'm slowly getting used to everything. Now, look at the next slide where we can know the definitions of important or the main vocabulary of the second paragraph. Definitions of the vocabulary. Tip, tip. Tip is verb. Does mean tip. To give someone who has provided you a service an extra amount of money to thank them. To give someone, to give a waiter who has provided you a service, for example, give you a cup of coffee, an extra amount of money to thank them. To thank them. That's what does mean tip. Waiter. A man whose job is to bring food to customers at their tables in a restaurant. Accent. It's a noun. Means a way of pronouncing the words of a language that shows which country, area, social class a person comes from. Accent, a way of pronouncing the words of a language that shows which country, area, social class a person comes from. For example, we have here American accent and we have British accent for the same language, that English for English language. There are Indian accent, there are Indian accent, British accent, American accent. For Arabic language, for example, we have when we listen to someone, we say that he is Tunisian. Why? Because his accent, his way of pronouncing words of the Arabic language shows that he is from Tunisia. So the accent, a way of pronouncing the words of a language, which shows which country, area, social class a person comes from. Here we have an expression. We need to know what does mean to get used to something. To get used to something means to become familiar to it. To become familiar to it. Now, after we know the definitions of vocabulary of the second paragraph, we return back to it and study it again. Megan is also surprised that Americans tip a lot more than British do. So here there is a cultural difference between British people and American people. Megan, who is a British student, is surprised because Americans tip a lot more than British do. Tip a lot more than British do. Americans people give extra amount for the waiter, while British do not do. He says, we never tip a waiter just for a cup of coffee, but Americans tip 50%. 50% of the cost of the cup of coffee or tea or meal they asked from the waiter. The accents can be so different. The accents can be so different too. I'm slowly getting used to everything. So Megan says he is slowly be familiar to everything. To the accents, the different accents, and to the tipping that Americans do a lot more. Now, as we did in the first paragraph, here we have word derivation. Surprise is a noun. We can derive an adjective, surprised and surprising. A slowness is a noun. The suffix NESS is used to derive nouns. Slow is an adjective. Slowly is an adverb. Opposites. Surprised, the opposite of surprised, expected. A lot more, a little bit. Slowly, the opposite of slowly, quickly. Okay, now the third paragraph. I am going to read it. Then we know the definitions of the vocabulary in the third paragraph. For students who come here from more different backgrounds, settling in can take longer. Kitkin, a student who came from Taiwan only a few months ago, told us, "When I first arrived, everything was new and exciting. I really liked the differences between here and home. I was happy to be in a new country. Now, though, I miss my family and friends and feel a bit lonely. Sometimes I'm confused about what to do. There are still lots of things that I like, but now there are more things I dislike. I feel really homesick." Now we start with the definitions of vocabulary. Here we have background. What does mean by when we say different background? What does mean background? It's a noun, of course. Background includes your family, your experience, the education, living conditions, customs, everything. So that what does mean background. Settle, it's a verb, means to live somewhere. Home here, it's a noun. Home here means your own country. Your own country. Lonely is an adjective, means alone. Lonely means alone. Confused, an adjective. Unable to think clearly or to understand something. Homesick, it's an adjective, means unhappy because of being away from home for a long period. Now we can return back to the second or the third paragraph, the third paragraph, and we are going to understand it more clearly when we know the definitions of the words. For students who come here from more different backgrounds, settling in can take longer. So, students who come to the United States here means to the United States from more different backgrounds, like Arab countries. So the backgrounds of Arab people is different from Americans. So for students who come to the United States from more different backgrounds, settling in can take longer. To be familiar and to can treat with the different or the different cultures take longer time. So settling in can take longer, means longer time. Kitkin, it's a name of a student, Kitkin, a student who came from Taiwan only a few months ago, told us. So Kitkin, came from Taiwan a few months ago, said, when I first arrived, everything was new and exciting. I really liked the differences between here and home. So, firstly, when he came here, firstly he liked the differences and he felt excited. He was happy. He says that I was happy to be in a new country. Now, though, I miss my family and friends and felt a bit lonely. So, now, though, he misses his family and his friends and felt a bit lonely, a bit alone. He wants to meet his friends, his family. Sometimes I'm confused about what to do. Sometimes I'm confused. Confused here means he can't think clearly and he can't understand something clearly. So sometimes I am confused. He says that sometimes he is confused about what to do. There are still lots of things that I like. There are still lots of things that I like, but now there are more things I dislike. I feel really homesick. I feel really homesick. Homesick, he wants to meet his family, his friends, and so on. Now, word derivation, verb and noun. Settle is a verb. Settling is a noun. Arrive is a verb. Arrival, noun. Feel, verb. Feelings, noun. Confuse, verb. Confusion, noun. Excite, verb. Excitement, noun. Now, word derivations are how we derive a noun from an adjective. For example, exciting, adjective, excitement, noun. Happy is an adjective. Happiness is a noun. You note that ment is a suffix for nouns. nes is a suffix for noun also. Here we have ing adjective. A new is an adjective. Noun newness, the same suffix nes. Lonely also, loneliness. We change the y when we change the adjective lonely into noun. We change the y into I and add suffix nes. Confused is an adjective. Confusion is a noun. You see that sion, the suffix sion is a suffix to derive nouns. Homesick, homesickness. Opposites, longer, long, adjective, first degree of adjective long. Longer is a comparative adjective. opposite of it, shorter. New, opposite of new, old. Happy, the opposite of happy, unhappy. Now, the fourth paragraph. For advice, we turn it to some students who now have few problems about being a student here. Sido arrived from Senegal 2 years ago. He told us, Kitkin shouldn't worry. This is perfectly normal. I felt exactly the same as she did. I didn't understand the lecture and my English wasn't improving either. Now we know the definition of vocabulary. Advice is a noun. Advice is an opinion or suggestion about what somebody should do in a particular situation. Advice is an uncountable noun. Advice, uncountable noun, means an opinion or suggestion about what somebody should do in a particular situation. Turn to someone to ask help from someone. Turn to someone means to ask help from someone. Problem is a noun. Problem, a thing that's difficult to deal with or to understand. When you have difficulty to deal with something or to understand it, so it's a problem. Perfectly, an adverb means completely. Normal also, an adverb means usual or ordinary. Improve is a verb, to become better than before. Improve means to become better than before. Better here is an adjective or the comparative form of an adjective good. Good, better, best. Now we read the fourth paragraph again and we try to understand it more clearly. For advice, we turn it to some students who now have few problems about being a student here. So, new students, turn it to ask some students who now have few problems for advice. Sido, it's a name of a student, arrived from Senegal 2 years ago. He told the students, Kitkin, the student that has problem with of being a new student in the United States, so he told them that Kitkin shouldn't worry. This is perfectly normal. So Sidom said that it's very normal to feel this because each one goes to another country, a foreign country, feels the same feeling as Kitkin. So he says that it's perfectly normal. I felt exactly the same as she did. I didn't understand the culture and my English wasn't improving either. Now, word derivation. Here, advice, noun, verb advise, verb. Improvement, noun, improve, verb. Advice, noun, advisable, adjective. Improvement, noun, improved, adjective. Normality, noun, normal, adjective. It's very important to use these words in a sentence of your own. Try to train yourself to invent, to write your own sentence by using these words. It's useful for you to understand reading and also writing composition. Synonyms: worry, adjective, anxious, also adjectives had the same meaning. Perfectly, adverb, completely, adverb, normal, adjective, usual or common, adjective, perfect, adjective. It has the same meaning as ideal. So here you can see that worry is a synonym of anxious. Perfectly is a synonym of completely. Normal has the same meaning as usual and common. Perfect also has the same meaning as ideal. Opposites: the opposite of few, many. The opposite of a problem, solution. The opposite of worry, relaxed. Now, the fifth paragraph. Now, Sidom realized this was because all his friends were from his own country. So I decided to get to know some North American students and other international students. I went to the Students' Union, where there are a lot of different clubs. There are sports clubs, dance clubs, clubs for people who have the same religion, clubs for people who want to find out more about something. There are loads. I saw there was a club for students interested in music, and so I joined that. I made all the difference. I made friends quite quickly, and I was able to understand the lecture a bit better. The students were interested in me too. We talked about the differences, and I began to feel a lot happier. We now get on well and often hang out together. Now we need to know the definitions of vocabulary. The first one, verb realize, means become aware. Become aware of something. Decide. Also, it's a verb. To think carefully about the different possibilities and to choose one. To decide to do something, to decide to choose between two things, to think carefully about the different possibilities and choose one. International, an adjective, means connected with two or more countries. Union, noun, an association or a club for people with the same interest. Union, noun, an association or a club for people with the same interest. Club, it's a noun, a place where people go and listen to music, dance, etc. Religion, noun, the belief in the existence of a God and the activities that are connected with the worship of them. Find out, verb, to search or to get some information about something. Hang out together, also a verb, to spend a lot of time together in a place. To spend a lot of time together in place or in a place. Now we read the 5th paragraph again and try to understand it clearly. Sido realized, became aware of, so realized this was because all his friends were from his own country. So I decided to get to know some North American students. So Sidom became aware that all his friends were from his own country. When this happened, he will get a problem with the language here. So he decided to get to some North American students and other international students. Why? To communicate with them and use language more fluently. So that he decided to know North American students and other international students. I went to the students' union. He went to the students' union where there are a lot of different clubs. There are sports clubs, dance clubs, clubs for people who have the same religion, clubs for people who want to find out more about something. There are loads. Loads here means there are many clubs. Loads means there is a large number of clubs. I saw there was a club for students interested in music, and so I joined that. So Sido joined a club of music. I made all the difference. I made all the difference. What does mean I made all the difference? Here means he became better. He changed it totally. He improved his language. He understood the culture of the foreign country. That's what does mean I made all the difference. Made all the difference means he became better more than before. I made friends quite quickly, and I was able to understand the lecture a bit better. The culture, sorry. I was able to understand the culture a bit better. The students were interested in me too. We talked about the difference and I began to feel a lot happier. We now get on well and often hang out together. So we now get on well means they became familiar to each other and know each other very well, and often hang out together. They spend a lot of time together. Word derivation, verb, noun. Realize is a verb. Realization is a noun. Decide is a verb. Decision is a noun. Also here in this slide we have word derivation, nouns and adjectives. Realization, noun, realizable adjective. Decision, noun, decisive and decided. Union, noun, united. Religion, noun, religious adjective. Opposites. Decide, the opposite of decide, hesitate. Friends, opposite of friends, enemies. Interested, the opposite of it, uninterested. Able, the opposite of able, unable. Better, the opposite of it, worse. Begin, the opposite of begin, finish or end. The last paragraph, the sixth or the last paragraph, as we do with the first paragraphs, I am going to read it, then we know the definitions of the words. Now I will read. Miguel from Mexico added, "My main problem was the food. I really missed eating my favorite dishes. Cooking for myself was also hard and too much fast food, which was not good for me. Then I found Mexican restaurant nearby. Now I go there quite a lot and I often take one student to give it a try. Also, my mom sends me packages with Mexican food in them, and that really helps too. Understanding a new culture is important, but it's good to have things from home too." Now, word definitions. Favorite. It's an adjective and it can also be used as a noun. We know that in the next slide. Favorite, it's an adjective, means liked more than others of the same kind. When we say my favorite food, my favorite book, my favorite place, my favorite friend, this means that I have many friends, but I like one particular friend more than the others. So I say my favorite friend. So favorite means like it more than others of the same kind. Restaurant, it's a noun. I think you know what this means, but its definition, a place where you can eat and buy a meal. Package, it can be a noun and it can be a verb. A noun here means a box or a bag in which things are wrapped. Things are wrapped. Main adjective means basic. Now we return back to the sixth paragraph. Miguel from Mexico added, my main problem was the food. So here, this student has a different problem. His problem is with the food of America. I really missed eating my favorite dishes. Cooking for myself was also hard and ate too much fast food, which was not good for me. So, Miguel from Mexico has a problem with the food. He missed eating his favorite dishes, and he says that cooking was hard work for him, so that he ate too much fast food, and we all know that fast food is unhealthy food, so that he says fast food was not good for him. Then he found Mexican restaurant. He goes quite a lot to it. He says, I often take other students to give it a try. So he take other students. Here, the students here means other students, means not Mexican students, students from other nationalities, because he says to give it a try. If they are Mexican students, they are familiar with the Mexican food, but because they are not Mexican, he takes them and to give it try, to try Mexican food. Also, his mom sends him packages with Mexican food in them. Okay, so understanding a new culture, he says that understanding a new culture is important, but it's good to have things from your or from home to home. Here means your own country. Now, word derivations. Package can be a noun and it can be also with the same spelling verb. Addition, noun, adverb. Mission, noun, miss, verb. Hardness, noun, harden, verb. Help, the same spelling, help, can be verb and can be a noun. Food, noun, feed, verb. Word derivation, also here, noun and an adjective. Favorite is a noun, and it can be also with the same spelling an adjective. Hardness, noun, adjective hard. Problem, noun, problematic, adjective. Importance, noun, important, adjective. Synonyms, words that they have the same meaning. They have different spelling, but they have the same meaning. Add is a synonym of increase. Both of them are verbs. Hard, adjective. The opposite, the synonym of hard, difficult. Important, an adjective. An adjective. It has the same meaning of relevant. Main is an adjective. It has the same meaning of basic. Opposites. Add, the opposite of add, reduce. Important, the opposite of important, non-important. We change it into opposite by put the prefix non before the adjective important to change it into opposite. Difficult, the opposite of difficult, easy. Now we end our first lecture. See you in the second lecture.